Okay. Good evening, everybody. Last time we talked about interfaces and protocols, and say in summary, we said that protocols are mechanisms that help us to interact with offchain data on the decentralized environment. Excuse me. And so we said that interface are also blocks of code that help us to interact with smart contracts without getting the smart contracts. Okay, it helps us to interact with smart contracts. It's like an environment where it's an interface, an environment where smart contracts interact among themselves. Okay, and so we said some certain things about um interface. Okay, so if you can always go back to the video. All right, so we're going to be making use of the interface and then the protocol, and then let's see how it works today. Okay, so let's get right into it. Um, so last time, let me share the whole screen so I can navigate around other sites. Okay, so all right, so we are going to be getting real price, and then for us to do that, we are going to be writing two functions as well. We're going to be getting the price, and we're going to be converting it. Remember, we said that we want to make the minimum deposits to be $5. Okay, and what we have here is Ethereum, so we have to get the equivalent of um we have to get Ethereum equivalent in $5, okay, in dollars. All right, so that we can actually set limits to it. Okay, we can actually use that particular limit. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing. So for us to do that, we'll be using two functions. We'll be using our get price to get the price. All right, so let's just make this guy public, and then the second function we'll be using is the um to convert it. All right, so let's get the convert. So after getting the price, we have to convert it to USDT. All right, we have to convert it to USDT. So let's call this one get conversion. All right, so let's link that probably. And all right, so these are the two functions we'll be writing to help us to do that. All right, so if we come to our documentation, okay. So if you come to our documentation, you can see that we let's come to this get started. All right, so let's come to this get started, and you see um how they give us a code on how to, like, a sample on how to go about this. Okay, he gave us a sample on how to go about this and get the price. All right, so we are going to be using the price aggregator. Okay, we want to be getting price from the aggregator, so we're going to be importing like the way they imported here. All right, so we're going to be importing this guy, all right, to our code, and then we're going to be making use of it. Okay, now let me do this guy here. Okay, so this is how they want us to do it. This is the template on doing it. Like in our last class, you can open it in Remit and see how it works. Okay, and then they gave us step by steps on how to go about it. All right, and then in this class, so we are going to be getting the price feed. All right, so we won't be copying from this. We'll be writing our own so that we know, excuse me, so we know how it really works. Okay, all right, so first off, there are different ways we can actually um import our interface. All right, there are different ways we can import our interface. This is the um smart contract key slash GitHub. All right, so I'll send this link, or you can just come here and then, all right, you can just access the GitHub using this GitHub link up here. All right, using this GitHub link up here, you will still access this GitHub file. All right, so this is the file you'll be getting interface. Okay, so this is the file you'll be getting our interface. All right, so I've opened two files already, so I'll just let go of one. Okay, so all right, so I'm going to open this file, and then I'm going to, oh, sorry. Okay, so instead of me looking for it now, just go and get the directory and
Chaplain, what are you looking
so
for?
All right. I I was actually in the wrong branch of the GitHub. Okay. So we'll come to
Now,
contracts.
what are you looking for?
Can you hear me?
I said, what are you looking for? Like, I went out of the class network.
Okay. I said that I was actually looking for this contract file. All right. So the directory we actually entered, it wasn't there. It wasn't there at all. So if you go to that particular GitHub, it's going to take you to the branch of this GitHub repo, and then at the documentation branch. All right. So what we're going to be using is the dev. So when we come to contracts, all right. So what we're looking for is here, but okay. So we just enter and now before it used to be in this interface, but the latest developments they now shift it to shared. Okay, so we'll come to shared. All right, and then our interface is, and then what we are going to be using is our aggregator v3 interface. All right, so I'll just open it and let's see how it looks. Okay, now this is the interface. All right, now there are different ways where we can how we can bring this guy into our code, into our project. All right, so first off, which is very very obvious, is that we can definitely we are going to be importing it. All right, we're going to be importing it, but first off we can come and create a file, you understand, and import it the way we normally import it, the way we imported it in um um storage factory. Sorry, storage factory. Yes, the way we imported in storage factory, we can just come and create a different file here, call it aggregator v3 um interface, and then create a file and then import it here. Okay, remember when I talked about interface in our last class, I said that we can import an interface from anywhere. Understand? We can import an interface from anywhere. The first time we imported, we were importing right inside our remis. The where we are importing from is still a file inside remis. But now this GitHub guy now is not even a remis, but we want to use this guy. Okay, I want to use this guy. So how do we import this guy? I'll just go straight to the point. No need to be beating around the bush. I'll just we know it's going to be imports, and we are going to be using the name importation. All right, so I will I will come here and just copy this name. Okay, so all right, so we are copying from, and so I'll just come and copy this directory. All right, so I'll copy this directory here. It makes it very simple for us. So I'll copy this directory. When I'm copying this directory, I'm copying the whole of this directory here like this. Okay, so I'll just come and I'll paste it. All right, but something is missing. Okay, something is missing. You'll notice that in this directory we have chain link slash contract slash sr whatever. But what we are having here is contract slash. All right, so I'm going to be adding this guy. All right, this chain link. All right, we're just going to say sorry, at chainix slash. Okay, and then we close this. All right, so we imported this guy now from our GitHub. Now we are interacting from a GitHub repo now. Understand? We just successfully imported our interface from a GitHub. Now you can use these particular methods to import from any GitHub at all. Understand? Just get the GitHub repo and then import it if you want to use particular interface or whatever plugin or whatever. All right. So this is how we import from a faraway land. All together. So let's see how this importation really works. Okay. So if you come to our documentation here, if you come to how they ask us to import, you see that we did the same thing. Okay. So this is it. We did the same thing. All right. So what next? So this let's play with it. Let's test it. Let's see how it really works. Okay. So if we let's okay, let me write this one here and say let's call this guy aggregator. All right, let's okay. So now for us to actually get the price, we will be needing two things. All right, so one of them will be needing the address, which is very important for now. Okay, so we'll be needing the address of what? The address of the contract that 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 carries the price feed. Yes, now remember when we are talking about protocols, we said that when aggregators get this price, all right, they are going to send it to a reference contract. All right, they're going to send it to a contract called the reference contract. All right, so that reference contract is what every other persons are going to be using to be fetching the data, the price, the real time price. Okay, you understand? So now that particular reference contract is what we are going to be using. The contract address is what we are going to be using. Okay, so if you come here, now if you come down here, you are going to see feed addresses. So I'm going to come to feed addresses and price feed addresses. All right, so if I come down, I'm going to see different networks. All right, I'm going to see different networks. Okay, so currently it's on Ethereum. Now this is the Ethereum mainnet. All right, so this is the contract address that fetches the price of 1 inch to Ethereum. You understand? The one that fetches the price of 1 inch to USDT and all that. So I'm going to be coming to the Sepolia testnet. All right, so what we want is the price of the trading pair of Ethereum to USDT. All right, so this is it. All right, so we're going to be copying this contract. Come and paste it here. Okay, so come and paste it here. All right, so if you your come back to your repo, you'll see that this function has okay, which function are we going to use? um okay, let's use this function version. All right, so let's return the version of the contract. All right, so let's come here and say dot version. All right, remember it's a function on its own. So let's just say okay, save it and it's a saved. All right, so if we we're going to run this okay, what if we put this in function of its own? All right, so let's create a function. So let's call it get version. This just for instance, I'm just showing us how the aggregator works. All right. Okay, so we'll just remove this guy from here and paste it here. Okay, so all right. Okay, so if we're going to run this guy, now you also have to understand that when we are running this contract, we are not running this contract with our normal environment here, which is our Cancun Remix visual machine. We are going to be using our MetaMask. So we're going to be using our injected MetaMask. Okay. So now what is this guy returning? We'll check this guy. You see that in our description is returning uint. All right, so see that we're returning uint here. Okay, so if we let's deploy, let's see. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
No, sir. No, sir.
Oh shit. I think I'm having network issues. Sorry.
I can hear you now.
Okay, so as I was saying, I said that when we return that particular one, okay, so let's run using our MetaMask. Okay, so let's run it and see using our MetaMask.
So I'm not hearing what you're saying. No.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we see that we were able to use this particular address, all right, to get our version, which is from.
Now, in order for us to figure out if the amount of Ethereum sent with the transaction is greater than or equal to our minimum USD of $5, we need to convert.
Okay, so you see that this particular function here is what we called in our contract. All right, so let's see if we can make that also work in our get price. All right, so let's see if we can make that work also in our get price. Okay, so let me do something. Okay, now get price, we are going to be getting real world data. All right, we're going to be getting real world data, like as we have said before. So I'm going to be calling this guy. Can be copying. All right, so this guy is going to be our type, since that's the contract we are using. All right. We are going to be calling this guy. Okay, so we're not using any function here. So now there's something also we are still going to consider. So if you come to okay, let's go back to our okay started. If you come to the example they gave to us here, okay, so they gave us this example and they said that we are returning this data. Okay, so they said that this is the function we are going to write to get our data. All right, this is the function we are going to write to get our data. And then this function, we can see this function in our GitHub, which is this guy. This function, last rounded data. All right. Now, why can we say that? How do we know that this is the particular function we are going to be calling? All right. So if you look at this particular one, you see that what they are using here is the last round data. the raster data function. All right. So they are saying that data feed is fetching data from the latest round data. Okay. So and the latest round data is this guy, this function, latest round data. Okay. So let's call this guy because that's what they told us that we are going to be using here. Understand? We're going to be using here. So we're going to be calling this function now in our get price. Okay, that's how they told us that we're going to be getting price. All right. So I'm going to be getting these inputs. I will come here and then this inputs, this particular inputs. All right. So these are the inputs we are going to be returning. Okay. Necessarily, I'm not going to be returning all these inputs. Sorry, all these outputs. All right. We're only going to be returning answer, which is going to be giving us the price of our ETH. Understand? According to how they showed us here. Okay, you see that they called everything here, but the only thing they called here was int. Others were commented. Okay, but we're going to write it in a way that will not consume space like this. Okay, so first of all, let us go and steal. Let's go and steal. So I'm going to copy these guys. All right, and come and paste it here. Okay, but I said that the most important thing that we need here is I said that the most important thing we need here is this answer, which is going to be giving us our price. That means every other thing here, we don't need them. So how do we get rid of these guys? How do we get rid of all of them? Now, if you see that, you see that we have unit 80. Not everything is unit 256. We have unit 80. Start at is unit 256. Answered in round is unit 80. Okay, but our answer is in 256. Now the reason why our price is going to be in 256 because sometimes we could have a negative price. All right, so um signed integers could be positive or negative, while unsigned integers cannot be negative. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here is that we're going to be removing these guys like this, but we will not delete the bracket. We'll just leave the bracket there, and it's going to be empty, just like that. Okay, so now we could say that this guy is equals to price feed. Now we're not doing anything different from what they did in the sample. All right, and we are calling this function. All right, so work with me. We are calling this function, which is latest round data. All right, so there's a function, so we'll definitely put our brackets. We are calling the function. All right, so if we deploy this, so if we compile this, okay, so what is telling us? Set the primary expression. So sorry, let's comment this guy out. I'll come back to this guy. Okay, so and deploy. So let me see, it says okay on deploy the identifier. So let's make this guy public. Okay, I've created public before. Okay, returns public returns. And what are we returning? We are returning price, which is int. Okay, so this guy is going to be units. So all right, so what else are we looking at? And the declare identifier. So those what's missing here. Okay, so let's return. So we are not returning anything. So let's see whether that's the reason why we are having issues. Okay, so let's return. Now, what are we returning? All right, we are returning our price feed. Okay, so we're returning our price feed, and also this price feed is gotten from the price we got from our function. Understand? Our function latest round data, and then this latest round data is using this contract. Okay, is getting the information from this contract address. All right, so if you don't understand, don't worry, I'll run through it again. Okay, so let's return our price. Okay, let's return our price. So we are going to be returning we're going to be returning this guy, which is answer. All right, so we're going to be returning answer. So let's see, there it goes. Oh, sorry. All right, let me see our next. Okay, expected this propose an identifier. So I'm not getting that one. Am I getting that wrong? 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 Okay, so let me see if I can. Undeclared identifier. Yes, my undeclared identifier coming from. Okay, so let me create this guy here. Copy. Let me see if I can. Am I still having error? From. All right, return argument type int with this not applicable compatible type. Let's return this. All right, return type is not implicitly convertible to a spec type. Type is first return variable. This. Okay, so all right. I've cleared my desk. Okay, so we're going to be returning our answer, which we actually got here. You understand? Okay, and then we are actually getting this guy from our latest round data, which is from our function, or we already know the function where we are getting it from. All right. Now, but mind you, okay, mind you, the value of this. Now, I'm not going to be running a test on this because of time. Okay, I'm not going to be running a test on this because of time. But after the whole thing, we are going to be testing it. All right. So unfailingly, I'm going to drop this code on the group so we can play with it, we can practice with it, and then we can test it at the end of the day. All right. So at the end of the day, we are going to be testing it. All right. Now, there's something we got to understand is that when there is no decimal, Solidity don't encourage decimal. So you always play with whole numbers. Okay. We always play with whole numbers. They don't play with decimal. So when you are getting your price, all right, when you are getting your price, you are getting it in whole numbers. Now, there's something we also got to understand is that this particular code is giving us the price of ETH in terms of USD, all right, US dollars. Okay, so that's what this guy is giving us. All right. Now, want to convert it in a way that is going to give us a decimal place like this. Now, when this guy gives us our answer, we are going to be seeing something like, let's say the price of, if it's $3,000, we'll be seeing something like this. All right. So if the price of ETH is $3,000, how many decimal places is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so it's going to be like this. It's going to be something like this. Okay. All right, but it's not going to give us like this. It's going to give us like this. It's not going to give us like this. It's going to give us like this. Now remember, in this place, we see that one ETH is equivalent to 1 raised to power 18 way. All right, 1 raised to power 18 way. All right, so we are going to be using this as well as our measurement. We're going to be using our way as our measurement as well. Now, this guy is in 8 decimal place, and this guy is in 18 decimal place. All right, so we have to make this guy in 18 decimal place. So how do we make this guy 18 decimal place? This is just simple solidity maths. Okay, so we're going to be doing a little bit of solidity maths this evening. So how do we make this guy 18 decimal place so that the decimal place is going to be complete? All right, so we are going to know why it is necessary to make this guy 18 decimal place and not leave it as 8 decimal place. You understand? In the next function, when we are doing our conversion, you'll see why we needed to convert this guy to 18 decimal place and not leave it at 10 decimal place. So how do we make this guy 18 decimal place? So we can make this guy 18 decimal place by simply multiplying it by, we can multiply it by 1e raised to power 10. All right, so can multiply it by 1e raised to power 10. You can write it like this, or you can write it like this. Okay, it still flies. All right, you can write it like this, or you can write it the other way. All right, so if you do this math, it's going to give us um all right, so the outcome is going to be like this instead of like this. Okay, Sure get. So 10 10 decimal places is going to be added to our answer to make it 18 decimal place, like what we have here. Okay. Altogether, if you don't understand, no worry, just follow. I'll come back to it again. So just follow what I'm doing. All right. So does it in 8 decimal places, and so we have to increase it to 18 decimal places. All right. So we are going to write another function. All right, so no need to write the function. We're already written it here already, sorry. So we're going to call it get conversion. So what does this guy do? So what this function is going to be doing for us is that it's going to be converting this our stuff now to ETH. All right, we're going to be marrying it to this our get price. All right, we're going to marry it to our get price so that we can get, when we put in our amount of ETH, it's going to be US dollars altogether. So we're going to be converting, this function is going to be converting our ETH to USDT or US dollars. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. So let's do that very fast. It's not really difficult. So let's, all right, so we are going to be creating a variable and we're going to call it ETH price. All right. All right, and we're going to say that this our ETH price is getting our information from the get price. So we're saying that it's equal to get price function. So we are calling this function inside is our, we are calling this function inside this function now. So we are saying that this ETH price is equal to our get price. That means whatever price this guy gets, all right, it's going to be our ETH price altogether. Okay, so we want to set another variable. Okay, I want to call this variable ETH amount, but we are going to make an input. Remember, sorry, I forgot. I said that we want to have an input where you put the amount in US dollars and it's going to give us the equivalent of it. It's going to convert it for us. Sorry. So we'll call this guy we'll call this guy ETH amount. That means the amount of Ethereum that you are putting. Okay, so we are going to put the Ethereum amount. Let's say we'll put 1 ETH and it's going to give us the equivalent in dollars. Go 2 ETH, give us the equivalent in dollars. All right, so here we stop. So we said that we created each price, gets price. Okay, we call this function. So we are going to create another variable, call it let's call it ETH amount in USD. So this is where we are going to be putting the conversion. Okay. So this is where we're going to put in the conversion. So we're going to just call this one ETH price. This one that we called here. And we're going to be multiplying it by our amount, what we are getting. Okay. So it's amounts. All right. So we're going to be multiplying. Let's say, for example, we put in 1 ETH. All right, we put in 1 ETH and then we're going to multiply it by, let's call this one, okay, 1 ETH. We're going to multiply it by This guy is 3,000. So we're going to multiply it by this guy. All right. So this is, we're going to multiply it by this. All right. So when we multiply this by this, it's still going to give us this. Altogether, yes, it's going to give us this. Okay. So if for us to get 3,000, so what are we going to do? We're going to divide it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So if we did mathematics in school, if this guy, this 18, cancel this 18, understand? Now you see that I have cancelled this 18. If I selected 18 zeros here and you selecting 18 zeros here, so it's going to be left with 3 zeros, Abby. That means if we divide this guy by this guy, we're going to be having 3,000. All right, so at the end of the day, we're going to be having $3,000, removing all this plenty decimal whatever you get. So if I put 2 ETH, understand? So this is going to be 6, this is going to be 6, and this is going to be 6. You get the logic? All right, so that's what we are going to be doing here. So we're going to divide by 1 raised to power 18, okay, which we did here. You understand? So we are multiplying our 8th price, which is this guy, our 8th amount, which is this guy. Understand? And we're dividing it. So this is going to be the answer. And so we are dividing it by our unit in weight to give us the actual amount, the actual price altogether. So this is how we convert it. This is how we are going to be converting it. All right. So after doing that, we are going to be returning, because we want it to return something. All right. So we are going to be returning, what is it going to be returning? It's going to be returning ETH amount in USDT. Okay. ETH amount in USDT altogether. And so this is how we convert, this is how we convert it. All right, so we're going to be, if we deploy this now, we'll be able to convert. It's going to get an input in it, and then the output is going to be the equivalent in USD. And it's going to be the equivalent in dollars. Now, this thing is not really restricted to if whichever address you get from here. All right, whatever address you get from here, you you can get the price of any of these addresses you get here. All right, so if you do let me come up and give an example. If you do BTC USDT, you're going to get the equivalent of BTC in USDT. If you do BTC S, you look for the price of BTC, is going to convert it to USDT. Sorry, to Ethereum for you. So the equivalent of USDT in Ethereum. You understand? So that's how it works. So you can actually fetch any of this contract and put it here and then play with it. Okay. And then you can actually convert it, and then we get the conversion. So if we should run this, okay, let's see what error we have. All right, sorry, I will not returning. So it should be public view, and it's going to return All right, we're going to be returning units. Okay, so it's going to be returning units. All right, so let's see what the problem is. Oh, sorry, I wrote to public. Okay, let me see what this one is telling me. Find not found or not unique. Okay, function. All right, sorry, we didn't put an identifier here. So this guy is supposed to be a unit. Okay, so let me see what this guy is saying. Type is not explicitly compatible, it's the type and all that and all that and all that. So it's a type, not it's compatible with viewing the price, you go to get price. Okay, so let me work on this. Okay, so let me see if I can copy this and button line and get prioritize. Binary filters can be applied to types and okay, so all right, so let's play with AI. Let's see what this guy this is where an AI comes in. So we'll just copy this guy and I think I've all right, so come to find and I'm going to do say I am having error running this solidity code. So you're going to put your three, paste your code down on the three. I said this is the error message. So just come and then paste it and let's see what it tells us this. So it said that the address error you are encountering needs to modify the code and handle the mismatch between int and uint. And let's go through the problem step by step to provide solution. So the problem with our code is our integers. Okay, our declarations of integers. All right. So so it said that the error occurred because we are trying to multiply an int, okay, with a uint. All right, solidity can explicitly convert between signed and unsigned integer. We need to ensure that both operands are of the same type before performing the multiplication. To fix this, we should convert its price or X amount to match the other type, blah 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 blah. So the key point to consider is this and general safer small types and all that and all that and all that. So they've given us okay the correction. Okay, so you can just copy this guy, all right, and okay, let's we'll just ignore. All right, so what's the difference between this code and this code? Okay, so this guy, yes. All right, and okay, so we just go with this guy, and okay, and our problem is solved. All right, so we've been able to convert uh our ETH. All right, we're able to convert our ETH. Okay, so that when a user imputes the amount of ETH, it's going to give us the equivalent in USD. All right, so you put in one ETH, it gives us the equivalent in USD. And we saw the mathematics we use here. All right, it's not a big logic, it's just a simple mathematics, solidity mathematics. All right. Now, the beautiful thing is that the more you do this maths, the more you get used to it, the more you familiarize yourself with it, the better you get at it. Okay. So, um, so that is it. I think I should just delete this guy so that my our code will not be messy. All right. So what have we done so far? Okay, so first of all, we've imported uh our interface from the Chainlink Git. Sorry, this is our test we did the last time. From our Chainlink Git, okay, so this is where we imported our interface and we just copied the directory, although we have to modify it so that the directory is complete, because when you copy it from here, it's going to start from this particular place. All right, it's going to start from here to here. All right, it's not going to include this chain link directory, which is going to flag error. So you have to ensure that your directory is complete. Okay, so another way you can is so another way you can actually get your directory is using what's the name of this guy? NPM, sorry, it's using NPM. All right, so we can just come to this place and say NPM package. So click on it and let's see what it gets. All right, so we'll come to the home. All right, my network is a little bit slow. All right, so another one is this npm package. So what this npm package does is that npm package is actually an extension of GitHub. So let me look for this chain. All right, so look at it here. We're using chain link contracts. Okay, so I'll just come to chain link contracts. Okay, so all right, you see that this directory, excuse me. So this is the directory we actually imported. All right, this directory we imported from, but this is not the directory we are using. Okay, so we'll just look for that. So let's say, let me use chain name slash contracts slash. Okay, so I'll just look for it here. Let me see if I can get it here. But that's how I searched it and get it. Let's say link. Okay, okay, so all right, so the same thing. Okay, so you can use the npm package. All right, you can export using the npm package. Okay, you can export using the npm package. So this is the directory. All right, this is the art contract, blah 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 blah. So now the beautiful thing is that this guy is downloaded from the GitHub. All right, so if you use um the npm package, you're also using indirectly using the GitHub as well, because they actually get this guy from the GitHub. All right, so these guys actually got him from the GitHub. So either you can use the npm package, or you can use the GitHub package. So it's still the same thing, still the same thing, absolutely the same thing. All right, so like as I was saying, we actually learned how to import our interface, okay, from a GitHub. Understand how we import our interface from GitHub, and then we created two functions to get the price, and also get um to convert our ETH to um to dollar. Now, there's something you have to understand is that this our minimum USDT is 5. Okay, so we have to make it um in 18 decimal places as well, so that it can actually match this our get price. All right, so that whenever we are getting price, it's going to synchronize with our minimum USD. Okay, so it's very simple. Is either you say this is times 10 raised to power 18. Okay, either you say this times 10 raised to power 18, or you can just say E18, and then that's it. Now, why are we doing this? Is so that we have equal decimal places. All right, that we have equal decimal places, so that our answer also going to be in 18 decimal places. What is good? excuse me, what this get price is giving us, excuse me, is 18 decimal places. What we are calculating here with is in 18 decimal places. So our price also is going to be in 18 decimal places altogether. So you see the manipulation we did here for us to actually get rid of these so many decimals and just return our price. Okay, so that's it. All right, so far, like I was saying, we is there anything new I have done here except for the approach that I'm using? There's nothing new I have done here. All right, the same principle is just the application of it that's different, that's very new, but the idea is still the same. Okay, outside the part that we imported interface not from our remix directory but from a GitHub directory. Okay. Um. So what else? Okay. Let me add something to this um to this code, because if we deploy this code right now, if you deploy this contract, you see that we can't keep track of addresses that of wallets that send us money. Okay, we can't keep track of them. We can't keep track of these wallets, these addresses. We can't keep track of them. All right, so how do we keep track of people that sent us money so that we can know who sent us money and how much they sent us? All right, we can definitely we cannot know the person because um the blockchain is pseudo anonymous, so you can only know them by their addresses. So you can actually know the address that sent us money. We can actually get the address that sent us money and how much they sent us. Okay. Now it's very simple. Definitely if we want to do that, we will have to create an array. Abi, we have to save those guys inside an array and array of address. All right. So this one is going to be an address, and we'll make it public. We'll call it funders. All right, so we'll call it funders. All right, so come here and so let's come here and then push um this this guy. Okay, let's push this guy to our array. All right, so let's push to our array. Okay, so we'll call this guy okay, let's say funders dot push, and what are we pushing? We are pushing message the sender. All right, is this how we push? Sorry, now push. All right, so message of sender is different from message of value. Okay, so message of value gives us the amount of the transaction that's been taking place. Okay, message of sender is the address that executes this function. So that's message the sender. It's actually the address that executes the function. So for example, let's load. All right, so these are MetaMask. So this guy, this address, all right, is going to be the message of sender, because if we are to deploy our contracts, okay, it's going to pop out our MetaMask, all right, and then this MetaMask is going to be the one to execute the contract. So this address, this particular address that's executing the contract, is going to be the message the sender. All right, is the message of sender. The person executing the contract, the person calling the contract, the person executing the contract is the message the sender. Okay, so that's that for message to sender. I think if in our next class, if we have time, I'll throw more light on it. All right, so we are pushing this message or sender into our funders. Okay, we are pushing this guy into our funders all together. All right, so let's create a map to actually track um the amount of money that they spent. Okay, call this on mapping. Sorry, I have done a lot today, but it's not difficult and it's not, it shouldn't allow it to scare you. All right, so we are mapping address. I'm mapping address to the amount. Okay, we'll call this guy address to amount. All right, let's call address to amount funded, or with amount spent. So should we say spent? Should we say spent or funded? So that you spend, for instance. Okay, so we'll say this address to amount spent. Now there's one beautiful thing about Solidity, so that it will help us to read. You can actually name your your types. You can actually name your types in your mapping. In your mapping, not elsewhere. In your mapping, you can actually name your types in your mapping. So we can call we can call we can call this one um funder, and we can call this guy amount spent. All right, so let's see this guy flies, so without have any error, flies. Now what we are doing is that we are trying to make this code readable, so that when somebody come and say, okay, what is this address and what is it mapping to, you understand? So when we say address, what is the address? Units. What is this unit? What is it mapping to? Why is this address mapping to unit? Okay, units can be anything, address can be anything. So we are naming this our variable type to be funder, and we are naming our units to be amount spent, so that anybody can read this code and understand what's going on here. Now, if you notice, this naming is not outside our this thing. This is a unique naming for our address. Okay, so you know that you can't name two different variables the same name. Understand? So all right, so we've done our mapping. So let us um get our mapping. All right, so let's get our mapping. Let's get what we are mapping. All right, so So say that this address address to amounts. Okay, so this is our mapping. Remember how we did mapping in our previous classes. Okay, so what are we getting? Our message, the sender. Okay, and then what are we mapping? What are we getting? So we are getting um this guy. Okay, we're getting this guy, a stand, and then we are adding this guy all together. All right, so we didn't have an error, so actually worked. Okay, so what did we do here? We normal mapping, what we map, how we map in our everyday mapping, you understand? So we're actually mapping our message or sender to our value. Okay. All right, so but what we want to get is that we want to get a message or sender, the address, and then the amount it's spent that have been spent. Okay, so we are getting the address and the amount that have been spent. So when we put in the address, it's going to give us the address and the amount that is spent altogether. So that is what this line of code is doing. All right, so when you get back to it, go back and look at it. So what we've done so far, so what this contract can do is that it can receive, you can set minimum, understand? So we said that our minimum is $5. All right, so we set it here that our minimum is $5. So if we run a test on this particular contract and we try to run a transaction less than $5 worth of ETH, is going to flag an error. Okay, so that's that. And then we had a mapping that we can track wallets that have done transactions, that have sent money, and how much they sent. Okay, so like I said, we're not going to test this contract because of time, but um, we're definitely going to run a test on it. We're going to definitely going to run a test on it. But so far, there is no error, so we are good to go. I've been talking, I've been speaking. Yes, question, please.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
So somewhere is now that we start class. All those songs we were doing since all those ones. So my question is, please can you scroll down? Let me show you my question. Then my question is, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. This get conversion function, right? Our input is in uint, but there's this input sign you're supposed to put in like underscore before the it amount is not showing. You did not put it. That's one. Can you hear me? Wow. Mr. Samuel, can you hear me? This one is end. Solo go be ìlera mi. Ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ mi go frigo mi go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
All right, so sorry about that. Okay, so let me. Okay, so who is asking question?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you very well, loud and clear.
Okay. So my question is on the first. My first question is, when we're working with, if let's say we're working with Bitcoin, is it still going to be raised to the power of 18?
Yes, depending on, okay, you have to like make a research on like, okay, what is the decimal of Bitcoin? What decimal is Bitcoin using? Okay. I think Bitcoin uses eight eight decimal or something like that. I think nine decimal or something like that. Okay. So how to know what um decimal does Bitcoin use? Okay. And also AI is going to be your friend, right? AI should be your friend. AI your friend in the sense that um you don't have a question. If you have a question and you don't understand it, let's say for example, um okay, I for example, let me share my screen. Okay, so these are you learn. All right, so I come here and said I don't understand this solidity code. Please explain. And so it's going to give me a breakdown explanation of the code. All right. So it's going to give me a breakdown explanation of the code. And also, if there's going to be an upgraded implementation, it's going to give me the upgraded implementation here. All right. But it's going to give me an upgraded, it's going to give me an explanation of the code. All right. So if I say, um, what if I am fetching the price of BTC, comma, will it still will it still be in 18 decimal? I said based on search results by not blah, 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 blah. The different number of decimal places, unlike Ethereum, typically use 18 decimal. Bitcoin price we usually uses 8 decimal. I told you 8 decimal. Okay, so BTC SDT fee specializes blah 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 blah. So you see that it has given us, that's giving you the answer to your question. All right. So that's how you use um that's how you use AI for your own good. All right, to get better explanation of what's going on in your code, and if you don't have any, if you don't have if you don't understand a particular set of code, you can actually explain it for you. All right. So, any other question?
Secondly, yeah, in this
Yes.
get conversion function, right? We are using
Yeah.
uint as our data type,
Okay.
but that's supposed to be an input. I thought there was supposed to be an underscore before that it amount.
Yeah, yeah, that's what we used to do, but it's not necessary. It's not a law that you must put an underscore. Okay. So why we
Okay.
used to put an underscore is just to beginner something so that we understand that it's an input.
Chai.
But yes, but
Okay.
now
Because I saw it when
second
I was.
secondly, the reason why we used to put underscore is to differentiate the variable names. All right, because let's say for example we have let's say for example we have um if amounts. Okay, we have if amount as a state variable. Okay, let's say we have it amount as a state variable and we want to get it amount as an input. All right, so that's when we now have to put the underscore, okay, so that it will differentiate between this if amount from this if amount. Okay, so this is when we want to call an already existing variable as an input, so we just put in the underscore, but outside that, not necessary. Altogether.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. So we are entering into deep waters. Things are getting more confused and
Really rough.
more. Yes. Now this is the time where you have to enter study mode. Okay. Go and look at the code again. Look at the code. Okay. I will drop the links to the GitHub. I'll drop the link to the Chainlink repo on the group. I will. I think I'll create another group that group. I'll call it resources. All right, so that I can drop all these things to the group and all that and all that and all that. I'll do that tonight. All right, so go through the weekend. All right, this weekend, go and play with the code. Go and look at the code. Go and try and import. Try and import yourself. Try and import yourself. Try and create these functions yourself. Okay, you don't have to know it. You can just copy and just copy the code what has already been coded, and try and see if you can remember what you are coding and if you can explain what you are coding, if you really understand the lines of code. Understand, practice the said makes perfect. Okay, so let's just go and practice. All right, let's practice, let's read, let's look at it once more, and then we're going to be good. Okay, we're going to be good. We're going to be very, very good. We're going to be very, very good. All together.
Amen, sir.
All right. So, I want us to next. We are actually behind time, and the reason why we are behind time is because I think I've spent really enough time in explaining some of these concepts to us. Okay, so I no regrets at all. As long we are getting what we are getting, you understand. If we understand to this particular extent, like a reasonable this thing. If you can look at this code and understand what is really happening in this code, even if you cannot sit down and write this code, but you can actually read this code and know, okay, this is what's happening in this code, this is what's happening in this place. Definitely you have you have you have gone a long way. Understand? You've gone a long way. So let us go and look at this code once more and then play with it. I'm not going to give us any assignment for the weekend. I want us to study this code because in our next class we'll be talking about loops, we're talking about safe maths, we're talking about some other deep complicated stuffs. Okay, so I have a lot of assignments to give, but I just want us to go and look at this code. Let us practice. Let us look at this code once more. Let's try to assimilate this code. Let's try to let it sink before we enter into the next, to our next phase. We understand all together.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, very well. Okay, so let me stop recording so that's not be too much.